Ethan's boots clanked on the metal floor of the crowded spaceport, and he adjusted the strap of his worn tool bag over his shoulder. The galactic market was alive with activity. Ships of every shape and size docked along the neon-lit corridors. Traders shouted their prices. Technicians polished engines, and pilots rushed to meet their schedules. Yet despite the chaos, Ethan felt a familiar thrill. This was his territory. He had spent years buying, repairing, and selling spaceships, and he prided himself on spotting potential where others saw junk. Today, he hoped to find another rare treasure. A ship that no one else wanted but could become a prize with the right repairs. He wandered past rows of sleek starliners, their polished hulls gleaming under artificial lights. Most of the ships were far too expensive for him to consider, or they carried rumors of accidents and malfunctions. Then he noticed it. It was tucked away at the far end of the lot, in a corner shadowed by larger, newer ships. Its hull was scratched, faded, and covered with a thin layer of dust. A faint hum of energy pulsed from it, barely detectable, but enough to make Ethan curious. No one was paying attention to it. Ethan crouched down and examined the nameplate on the side. The Nocturne, it read. The letters were ornate, almost alien in design, and the paint had peeled over decades. Odd. He had never seen a ship like this before. The doors were locked and a warning flashed on the console. Energy lock engaged. Unauthorized access denied. Ethan frowned but smiled at the challenge. Energy locks were not impossible to bypass. He had done it many times before. As he crouched beside the hull, he noticed subtle carvings along the edges of the ship, symbols he could not decipher. They glowed faintly in the dim light as if the ship itself had a heartbeat. A shiver ran down his spine, but he quickly shook it off. It was probably just advanced alien technology, he told himself. Nothing more. He pulled out a small toolkit from his bag, tools that could interface with most security systems. He tapped into the lock's energy feed, his fingers moving quickly and confidently. Sparks flickered, lights blinked, and after a tense minute, the doors hissed and slid open. A cool, strange air rushed out, carrying a scent that Ethan could not identify. Like earth after rain mixed with something sweeter, almost metallic. The interior of the ship was extraordinary. Despite its abandoned appearance, the corridors were wide and elegant. Soft lights lined the walls, changing colors as he moved. The furniture was alien in design, sleek curves and soft surfaces, yet somehow inviting. He walked slowly, taking in the details. There were no signs of damage except for dust and faint scratches. It was clear this ship had been maintained meticulously before being abandoned. As Ethan explored, he heard it, a whisper, soft and melodic, echoing through the corridors. He froze, looking around. The spaceport outside was noisy. No one could have heard a whisper. His pulse quickened. "Hello?" he called softly. The ship answered with silence, then a faint shuffle as if someone or something was moving just out of sight. He told himself it was his imagination. After all, people had told stories about ships being haunted, but Ethan didn't believe in ghosts. He pushed the thought aside and continued down the hallway, marveling at the technology. Displays flickered to life as he passed, showing energy readings, star maps, and logs that he could not yet access. It felt alive. At the end of the main corridor, he found a chamber unlike the rest of the ship. It was large, circular, with a transparent tube suspended in the center. Inside the tube, a figure lay in repose. Ethan blinked, stepping closer. The figure was humanoid but not human. Pale violet skin, long hair that shimmered like dark silk, and eyes closed in apparent slumber. Her form was elegant and graceful, her features almost ethereal. Ethan felt a strange mixture of fear and fascination. He tapped the glass with his finger. The figure stirred. Her eyes opened suddenly, glowing faintly in the dim light. Ethan stumbled back, heart pounding. The eyes were not hostile but intensely aware, studying him with a depth that made him feel exposed. "You can see me," she said, her voice smooth and musical, echoing softly in the chamber. Ethan swallowed hard. I didn't mean to wake you. I'm Ethan. I am Lyra," she replied. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but she did not move aggressively. "Who are you to enter my home?" "My home?" Ethan laughed nervously. "I didn't know anyone lived here." The ship was abandoned. Lyra's expression softened for a moment, and she sighed. "I have been here a long time. Centuries, in fact. The energy lock keeps me contained. I cannot leave." Ethan's mind raced. "Centuries, that's impossible." Nothing about me is ordinary, she said almost wistfully. I survive by feeding on energy, not blood, as your stories suggest. I need life force temporarily to sustain myself. You are safe for now. Ethan swallowed again, his curiosity overpowering his fear. Why hasn't anyone bought this ship? Lyra's eyes darkened. Because they sense what I am. Most fear me without understanding. They see the rumors and flee. They cannot comprehend that I only wish to live, not harm. Ethan felt a pang of sympathy. The alien woman before him was trapped, misunderstood, and alone. He had seen fear like this before in humans, but never in someone who was clearly so powerful. I don't think you're dangerous, he said honestly. I think you just need help. Lyra studied him, and a faint smile curved her lips. Perhaps you are different, human. Perhaps you are brave enough to remain. Over the next few hours, Ethan explored more of the ship, learning that it was far more advanced than anything he had worked on before. Lyra explained the basic systems in careful detail, her voice calm and measured. She showed him how the energy core could amplify star maps, power defensive shields, and sustain life indefinitely. Ethan realized the ship was not just valuable, it was priceless. Yet the more he learned, the more he realized the challenge. Selling this ship would be nearly impossible with Lyra aboard. The rumors of her being a vampire or a dangerous alien would spread like wildfire, and buyers would flee. But Ethan felt a thrill of opportunity. Maybe the ship wasn't meant to be sold. Maybe it was meant to be repaired, explored, and understood. That night, as Ethan rested on a fold-out bench in the main corridor, he heard Lyra moving quietly in her chamber. He could feel her energy resonating through the ship, subtle but unmistakable. Sleep was difficult, his mind racing with questions. Could he really live alongside this alien? Could they trust each other? Suddenly, a soft knock echoed through the hallway. Ethan froze. The ship should have been empty aside from the two of them. He grabbed a wrench, creeping toward the source of the sound. As he rounded the corner, he saw nothing but the soft glow of the lights and the hum of the energy core. Then, in the reflection of a polished panel, he saw her eyes again, watching him. Lyra's expression was unreadable, but her gaze was patient, almost curious. Ethan exhaled slowly, lowering his wrench. You should rest, human, she said, her voice calm and soothing. Tomorrow is another day. Ethan nodded, still on edge. Yeah, tomorrow. But deep down he knew that this ship and the alien woman within it would change his life forever. He had expected to find a simple repair job, a chance to make a profit, but instead he had stumbled into something far more mysterious and dangerous. Something extraordinary. As he drifted into a restless sleep, Ethan could feel the hum of the ship surrounding him, as if it were alive, watching and waiting. And somewhere in the shadows, Lyra's eyes followed him, a silent guardian of the secrets she had carried for centuries. In the quiet of the abandoned ship, two lives intersected, one human, one alien, and neither would ever be the same again. Days passed aboard the Nocturne, each one blending into the next as Ethan worked alongside Lyra. The ship no longer felt like a machine. It had become a home, a sanctuary where two beings from completely different worlds had begun to understand one another. Ethan's skills as a repairer and engineer were improving rapidly, his human ingenuity merging with Lyra's ancient knowledge of the ship's systems. Together, they were restoring the vessel to a state of perfection that it had not seen in centuries. Ethan was fascinated by every aspect of the ship. The corridors seemed to shift subtly, adapting to their movements. Lights dimmed and brightened without manual input, seemingly anticipating their presence. Panels responded instantly to touch, and holographic displays appeared wherever Ethan needed them. Lyra had explained that the ship was semi-sentient, able to communicate through energy pulses and subtle vibrations. It could sense their intentions and adjust accordingly. The idea amazed Ethan. He had repaired ships before, but none had lived like this. Lyra had begun teaching Ethan more about her existence. She explained that she was part of a rare species of energy vampires, beings who survived by drawing temporary life energy from others, not in a harmful way, but as a form of sustenance. It was a delicate balance. Too much energy from one source could destabilize her, and too little could weaken her for days. Ethan listened carefully, fascinated by her calm explanation. You're not like other humans, Lyra said one evening as they worked on the navigation system together. Most would see my kind as monsters. You see me as someone who needs help. Ethan smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. I guess I've learned that fear often makes people blind. You're not dangerous, Lyra. You're just different. And different can be incredible. She regarded him quietly for a moment, then nodded. Perhaps. But you must remember, Ethan, that not all beings will see it that way. Some will fear me. Some will hunt me. Some will try to take the ship for themselves. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then we'll make sure they don't. I don't plan to let anyone harm you or the ship. I might be human, but I'm not helpless. Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. Your courage is admirable. But courage alone will not be enough. You must learn to think, to anticipate, and to adapt. That is what humans do best, is it not? Ethan nodded, realizing she was right. Humanity's strength had always been its ability to adapt, to find solutions where none seemed possible. He had survived countless repairs, salvages, and missions that others would have abandoned. And now, alongside Lyra, he would need every ounce of his ingenuity. The partnership between human and alien grew stronger with each passing day. Ethan began to understand the subtle rhythms of Lyra's energy, how she drew power from the ship, how her presence influenced its functions. He even began to feel changes in himself. His senses sharpened, his reflexes became quicker, and he could detect minor fluctuations in the ship's systems almost instinctively. It was as if the ship and Lyra were training him, shaping him into a being capable of navigating challenges far beyond ordinary human capacity. One afternoon, while repairing the energy conduits, Ethan stumbled upon a hidden compartment. Inside, he found ancient star maps and records detailing Lyra's travels before her entrapment. These were not ordinary maps. They contained routes to distant galaxies, star systems humans had never explored, and notes about civilizations long forgotten. Ethan realized that the ship was not just a vessel. It was a library of knowledge, a record of centuries of galactic history. Lyra, these maps. They're incredible, Ethan said, carefully studying the intricate diagrams. You've been everywhere, seen everything. Lyra's eyes darkened slightly, a shadow of sorrow crossing her face. Yes, I have wandered the stars, witnessed wonders and tragedies alike. But I am bound here now. This ship is both my prison and my sanctuary. Ethan placed a hand gently on the edge of the compartment. I don't see it as a prison. I see it as a beginning. And maybe we can find a way for you to explore again. Safely. Lyra's gaze lingered on him. You are bold to speak such things. Most humans would not even dare to imagine such possibilities. As they worked, Ethan began to experiment with combining human technology with the ship's systems. He rigged improvised circuits, enhancing energy distribution and improving efficiency. Lyra observed, offering suggestions and corrections, but allowing Ethan the freedom to experiment. Their collaboration became a dance of intelligence and skill, each learning from the other. It was during one of these experiments that Ethan first saw the full extent of Lyra's abilities. An energy spike surged through the ship, causing lights to flicker violently. Panels sparked, and the hum of the core intensified alarmingly. Ethan froze, unsure how to stabilize the systems. Before he could react, Lyra stepped forward. Her body moved fluidly, almost blending with the shadows. She raised her hands, and Ethan watched in awe as energy seemed to bend and flow around her. The spike was absorbed, redirected, and balanced perfectly. The lights returned to their soft glow, and the ship hummed with a calm, steady rhythm once more. I didn't know you could do that, Ethan said, astonished. Lyra's expression remained calm. It is part of who I am. I have lived with this ship longer than you can imagine. I maintain its balance just as it maintains mine. Ethan realized that their partnership was more than human skill and alien power. It was a combination of trust, understanding, and shared purpose. The ship responded to both of them, becoming stronger, more resilient, and more alive with each passing day. Yet, despite their growing bond, Ethan knew danger was never far away. The galaxy was vast, and stories of a vampire-like alien woman in a derelict ship would spread quickly if discovered. He had already seen the hesitation in other traders' eyes when he mentioned the Nocturne. Fear was universal, and many beings would not hesitate to attack or steal if given the chance. One evening, while Ethan worked on recalibrating the life energy conduits, a soft vibration ran through the ship. Lyra's eyes opened immediately, glowing faintly. She moved to the console, her hands tracing invisible patterns in the air. They are coming, she said quietly. Ethan's heart raced. Who? What do you mean? Outsiders. They have sensed my energy signature. Some will come out of curiosity, others with ill intent. The ship is no longer hidden. Ethan straightened, determination settling over him. Then we'll be ready. Whatever they want, they won't take you or this ship. Lyra studied him closely, and for the first time a glimmer of trust passed between them. Very well, human. You have learned quickly, but remember, courage alone will not suffice. You must be clever and you must be careful. In the following days, Ethan and Lyra prepared the ship for potential encounters. Ethan rigged energy barriers, reinforced hull sections, and improved communication systems. Lyra taught him subtle ways to manipulate the ship's energy, allowing them to create illusions, dampen signals, and even phase briefly through certain corridors. Their combined efforts transformed the Nocturne into a fortress, capable of defending itself against most threats. Despite the tension, there were moments of quiet companionship. Ethan shared stories of Earth, humanity's history, and the small wonders of his home planet. Lyra listened, occasionally interjecting with stories of distant galaxies, civilizations she had encountered, and lessons learned from long years of survival. In these moments, Ethan realized that Lyra was not just powerful. She was wise, kind, and capable of deep reflection. He also noticed her moments of vulnerability. Sometimes she would pause, staring into the distance, lost in memories of worlds she could no longer visit. Ethan would sit quietly beside her, offering silent support. He did not fully understand her experiences, but he could empathize with loneliness and isolation. One night, as the ship drifted silently through an uncharted sector, Ethan approached Lyra's chamber. The lights were soft, and the air carried the faint, sweet scent he had noticed when he first entered the ship. "I've been thinking," Ethan said, "about what you told me, about being trapped and misunderstood. I don't see you as a monster, Lyra. I see you as extraordinary. And I think together, we can do incredible things." Lyra's eyes softened, and for a moment she seemed almost human. "You have grown since you arrived, Ethan. Brave, persistent, and compassionate. Most humans would have fled long ago. You are different." Ethan smiled. "Maybe being different is good. Maybe it's what allows us to survive, to thrive, to discover things others never will." Lyra considered his words. "Perhaps. But remember, the galaxy is vast and unpredictable. Challenges will come. Tests of courage, intelligence, and morality." "Are you prepared for that?" Ethan nodded firmly. "I am. And I'm not alone anymore. We'll face it together." The ship seemed to respond to his words, a gentle vibration underfoot, as if acknowledging the partnership forming between human and alien. Ethan realized that he was no longer just a repairer or explorer. He had become part of something greater, a living ecosystem of trust, courage, and shared purpose. As the Nocturne sailed through the endless stars, Ethan knew that the real adventure was only beginning. Outside, the galaxy was vast and full of unknowns. But inside this extraordinary ship with Lyra by his side, he felt ready for anything. Together they would face the dangers, the mysteries, and the wonders of the universe. Ethan woke to a soft hum that vibrated through the ship's floor. The lights in the corridors were dim, shifting from pale blue to gentle violet, bathing the interiors in a serene glow. He rubbed his eyes and stretched, recalling the events of the previous day. The discovery of Lyra, the alien vampire woman, had left him both fascinated and unsettled. Every sense in him screamed caution, yet a part of him wanted to understand her, to know why she had been trapped here for centuries. The ship felt different in the morning. It seemed less ominous, more like a living being breathing quietly around him. Ethan had always loved the quiet energy of spaceships, how each one had a personality. But this was something else entirely. It was subtle and powerful, a presence that he could feel in his chest and in his fingertips. He knew Lyra was the source of this energy, yet she had not moved from her chamber since dawn. He decided to check the ship's systems. Walking down the main corridor, he noticed the symbols on the walls pulsing faintly, responding to his movement. It was as if the ship recognized him, or perhaps it responded to Lyra's presence in some way. Ethan crouched by the main console and began analyzing the data. Star maps, energy grids, and life support systems appeared on the screen, and he realized that repairing this ship would not be like repairing any other vessel he had encountered. Hours passed as Ethan examined the ship. He noted the unusual energy flow, which seemed to emanate from the core chamber where Lyra rested. He had never seen a life support system so intricately connected to the very structure of a ship. It was more than machinery, it was an ecosystem. He felt a strange sense of awe. This ship had survived centuries, and so had Lyra. The thought made him feel small in comparison, but also determined. He wanted to earn her trust, to prove that he could help, not harm. Later, he approached Lyra's chamber cautiously. Her eyes were open now, observing him as he drew near. There was a calmness in her gaze that contrasted sharply with her formidable appearance. Ethan could see the faint glow of her veins beneath her skin, the subtle shimmer that suggested she was not entirely like any human or alien he had encountered. "I have been monitoring your work," Lyra said, her voice smooth and melodic. "You are thorough but cautious. Most humans would panic by now." Ethan scratched the back of his head. "I don't panic easily," he replied. "But I admit this ship, and you, are beyond anything I expected. I need to understand both before I can do anything useful." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "Understanding is a rare gift. Many would only seek to exploit what they do not understand. You are different." That day, Ethan worked carefully, learning the basic functions of the ship's systems. He noticed that the energy readings fluctuated when he approached certain areas, almost as if the ship reacted to his presence. Lyra observed quietly, occasionally offering guidance. She explained that the ship and her life force were interconnected, that it allowed her to sustain herself for centuries, and that it also created the unusual energy lock that prevented her from leaving. "You are safe here, human," she said. "But outsiders would not be. They would see what I am and fear me. You must understand the risks if you wish to stay." Ethan nodded. "I understand, but I also see an opportunity. This ship, it is incredible. I think we could fix it, maybe even explore the galaxy together. You and me." Lyra's eyes narrowed, studying him. "You do not yet understand me, Ethan. I am not like you. I am ancient, and my survival depends on more than technology. I live by rules older than your civilization. Trust is not given lightly." "I'm willing to earn it," Ethan said firmly. "I've never backed down from a challenge. And I don't see you as a threat. I see you as someone who deserves a chance." For the first time since he had met her, Lyra seemed to consider his words seriously. She gestured for him to follow her to a secondary chamber. It was smaller and darker than the main corridors, filled with strange devices and glowing orbs. Ethan realized these were energy conduits, designed to store and regulate life energy in ways he could barely comprehend. "This is where I manage my sustenance," she explained. "It is a delicate balance. Too much energy and I become unstable. Too little and I weaken. You must understand this before we can cooperate fully." Ethan studied the conduits, fascinated. "So you're saying the ship itself is part of your life system?" Lyra nodded. "Exactly. The ship is my sanctuary. It has kept me alive for centuries, and now by your presence it is learning to adjust. It senses your intentions." The day passed slowly as Ethan absorbed the information. He realized that repairing this ship was not a matter of fixing engines or wiring. It required understanding an entirely new form of technology, one intertwined with a living being. The complexity was overwhelming, yet the challenge excited him. By evening, Ethan and Lyra began a cautious routine. He would repair and analyze systems while she monitored him, offering subtle corrections. Occasionally, she demonstrated her abilities, phasing briefly through walls, sensing fluctuations in the energy grids, and manipulating the life energy around her. Each time she moved, Ethan was reminded of how different she was, yet how intelligent and disciplined she appeared. As the hours passed, Ethan felt a growing sense of respect for her. Lyra was not a monster nor a mere legend to be feared. She was a being of remarkable endurance, intellect, and patience. He also sensed a loneliness that had persisted for centuries. She had lived isolated from the galaxy, feared by anyone who learned of her existence, and yet she was not bitter. She had hope, a faint flicker that someone might finally understand her. One night, as Ethan worked on the ship's navigation systems, Lyra approached him quietly. "You are learning quickly," she said softly. "Most humans would have given up long ago. You see beyond fear. That is rare." Ethan smiled, feeling a mix of pride and relief. "I guess I'm stubborn. I don't give up easily, especially when I see someone or something worth protecting." Lyra studied him silently, then stepped closer. Her presence was overwhelming, yet not threatening. Ethan could feel the faint energy pulsing from her, a subtle vibration that resonated with the ship itself. He realized that the longer he stayed, the more connected he felt to both Lyra and the vessel. Days passed, and Ethan's understanding of the ship deepened. He discovered hidden compartments containing tools, ancient star maps, and records of Lyra's travels before her entrapment. Each discovery added to the mystery, revealing glimpses of her past, the civilizations she had encountered, and the dangers she had faced. Ethan also began to notice changes in himself. The ship's energy, combined with Lyra's presence, seemed to heighten his senses. He felt more aware of subtle fluctuations in the environment, more in tune with the ship's systems. He realized that working alongside Lyra was not only teaching him about alien technology, but also expanding his own abilities. One afternoon, a sudden energy spike rattled the ship. Lights flickered and the hum of the core intensified. Ethan rushed to the control panel, trying to stabilize the readings. Lyra appeared beside him in a blur, her eyes glowing with intensity. She raised her hands, manipulating the energy with precision, guiding it back into balance. Ethan watched in awe. "I didn't know you could do that," he exclaimed. Lyra glanced at him, expression neutral. "It is not a trick. It is part of my existence. I maintain balance, and in return, the ship sustains me." Ethan realized that their cooperation was not optional. It was essential. The ship, Lyra, and he were now intertwined in a delicate equilibrium. Any mistake could have consequences, yet together they could achieve things neither could accomplish alone. That night, as Ethan rested once more in the corridor, he thought about the future. He knew the galaxy would not easily accept a ship inhabited by a vampire-like alien. Selling it would be impossible. But perhaps that was not the goal. Perhaps this ship and Lyra were meant to be explored, understood, and protected. He glanced at her chamber, seeing her form suspended in her energy cocoon. She was watching him, eyes half closed, serene yet alert. Ethan felt a strange sense of companionship, a connection that transcended words. He had expected to find a simple repair job, a chance to make a profit, but instead, he had stumbled into something far more extraordinary. Somewhere in the shadows of the ship, Lyra's gaze followed him, silent but perceptive. She had seen countless humans come and go, most fearful, most greedy, most unworthy. But Ethan was different. He had courage, patience, and a willingness to learn. And perhaps, just perhaps, he was the one who could finally understand her world. The night passed quietly, the ship humming softly, as if acknowledging the new partnership forming within its walls. Ethan knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, repairs, discoveries, and perhaps dangers from beyond the stars. But for the first time he felt ready to face the unknown, ready to work alongside Lyra, ready to see what this extraordinary ship and the alien woman within it could truly become. And so, under the quiet glow of alien lights, two lives converged, human and vampire-like alien, bound by curiosity, trust, and the promise of adventure that stretched across the endless expanse of space. The hum of the nocturne filled the corridors as Ethan adjusted the energy conduits one final time. He had spent days reinforcing the ship, learning to predict its subtle reactions and combining his human ingenuity with Lyra's centuries of knowledge. Together, they had transformed the ship into something more than a vessel. It had become a fortress, a living entity capable of defending itself. Yet, despite all precautions, Ethan felt a tension in the air, a subtle warning that danger was approaching. Lyra appeared beside him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "They are close," she said, her voice calm but edged with alertness. "Outsiders have sensed the energy signature of the ship. Some will come seeking knowledge, others with greed or malice. We must prepare." Ethan nodded, determination settling in his chest. "Then let's make sure no one harms you or this ship. Whatever they bring, we'll be ready." Over the next several hours, they finalized their defenses. Ethan adjusted the energy barriers, creating overlapping fields that could repel intruders without causing permanent harm. Lyra demonstrated how to manipulate the ship's energy, creating illusions that could confuse and misdirect attackers. Together, they reinforced the hull, enhanced communication systems, and rigged emergency protocols for rapid defense. As night fell, Ethan monitored the external sensors. Faint blips appeared on the star maps, small ships approaching from multiple directions. These were not ordinary traders or explorers. The pattern suggested coordination, tactics, and intent. Lyra's eyes narrowed. They are bounty hunters, skilled, determined, and likely armed with energy disruptors and weapons capable of breaching ordinary defenses. This will test us. Ethan's pulse quickened. He had faced dangerous situations before, but never anything like this. Yet he felt a strange confidence. He had human creativity, adaptability, and determination. Lyra had ancient knowledge, precise control over energy, and the ability to sense life. Together they had prepared for this moment. The first ship approached, a sleek vessel designed for speed and stealth. It scanned the Nocturne, sensors flaring as it attempted to bypass the energy shields. Ethan activated the barrier reinforcement, watching the attack deflect harmlessly. The Nocturne responded almost instinctively, adjusting the shields and rerouting energy to critical points. Lyra stepped beside him, her presence radiating calm authority. Ethan, focus on the navigation systems. I will handle the energy flow. Together we can outmaneuver them. Ethan's fingers flew over the controls, rerouting power and creating decoys. Holographic images of the Nocturne flickered across the space around them, confusing the approaching hunter ships. Lyra manipulated the energy fields, bending light and matter subtly to hide their true position. The attackers fired, but their energy blasts were redirected harmlessly into empty space. Minutes passed and more ships arrived, encircling the Nocturne. Ethan's mind raced as he calculated angles, energy output, and possible escape routes. Lyra remained calm, her hands weaving through the air as she maintained the delicate balance of power. Their coordination was seamless, a dance of human ingenuity and alien mastery. One of the hunter ships managed to penetrate a weak point, sending a pulse that disrupted part of the shield. Ethan reacted instantly, rerouting energy from secondary conduits to restore the barrier. The Nocturne responded immediately, closing the gap and stabilizing the system. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter as she extended her hands toward the energy flow, manipulating it with precision to counter the attack. The bounty hunters seemed confident, but they underestimated the combination of human adaptability and Lyra's unique abilities. Ethan realized that their human creativity allowed them to predict and react in ways the attackers could not. While Lyra provided the power and control, he provided strategy and quick thinking. As the battle continued, Ethan noticed a pattern in the attackers' movements. They were coordinated but rigid, relying on predictable maneuvers. He called out to Lyra, explaining his observations. They are following a routine. If we anticipate their next moves, we can trap them without causing real harm. Lyra's eyes narrowed in thought. A human tactic. Intriguing. Proceed. Ethan adjusted the ship's holographic projections, creating false signals that led the attackers into energy traps. One by one, their ships were ensnared, unable to maneuver or fire without being repelled. The Nocturne remained untouched, a fortress of light and energy in the void. The final attacker, the most aggressive of them all, approached head-on, weapons charged. Ethan and Lyra exchanged a brief glance. He nodded, understanding that this would be the ultimate test of their combined abilities. Lyra extended her hands, drawing energy from the ship itself. The air shimmered around her and the Nocturne seemed to pulse in response. Ethan guided the energy through the ship's systems, focusing it into a controlled burst designed to neutralize the attacker. The hunter ship fired, but the energy wave from the Nocturne enveloped it, disarming its weapons and temporarily disabling its engines. The ship drifted harmlessly into the void, its occupants stunned and defeated. Ethan exhaled, feeling the adrenaline leave his body. Lyra's gaze met his, calm and approving. You are resourceful, human. Together we have turned what seemed impossible into victory. Ethan smiled, feeling a mix of relief and exhilaration. We make a good team. I didn't think I'd ever fight bounty hunters in a haunted spaceship, but here we are. Lyra allowed herself a faint smile, a rare expression of warmth. The galaxy is full of surprises, and humans are full of potential. You have proven that courage and intelligence can overcome even the most daunting challenges. After the attackers retreated, Ethan and Lyra worked together to repair minor damages to the ship. The energy systems were strained from the battle, but the Nocturne responded to their combined efforts, stabilizing quickly. Ethan marveled at how the ship seemed alive, how it understood their intentions and cooperated in the restoration process. In the quiet aftermath, Ethan walked to Lyra's chamber. She was seated calmly, her eyes glowing softly as she monitored the ship's core. You handled yourself well, she said, her voice gentle. Most humans would have panicked or made mistakes that could have endangered both of us. You Adapted, and that is rare. Ethan shrugged, trying to appear modest. I've faced challenges before, but this was different. I've never worked with someone like you. You make me think differently, see possibilities I wouldn't have considered. Lyra studied him closely, her expression unreadable. Perhaps that is why the ship allowed you to remain. Most humans would have failed long ago. But you have potential. You see beyond fear and you act with purpose. That is a trait worth respecting. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride and connection. He realized that their partnership was not just about survival or repairing the ship. It was about trust, understanding, and shared purpose. Days passed, and the galaxy slowly returned to its usual rhythm. The bounty hunters had been repelled, but their presence left a lingering tension. Ethan and Lyra continued their work, refining systems, exploring hidden compartments, and learning more about the ship's secrets. Each discovery deepened their bond and strengthened the Nocturne. Ethan found himself fascinated by Lyra's stories of distant galaxies, ancient civilizations, and cosmic phenomena he had never imagined. She spoke of worlds where light behaved differently, where life took forms humans could barely comprehend, and where civilizations had risen and fallen over millennia. Ethan listened intently, absorbing her knowledge and marveling at the vastness of the universe. Lyra, in turn, began to understand human resilience and creativity. She noted how Ethan could improvise solutions, how he remained calm under pressure, and how he approached challenges with logic and intuition. She realized that humans, though fragile compared to her kind, possessed a unique strength that could complement her own abilities. One evening, as the Nocturne drifted through a quiet sector, Ethan sat beside Lyra in her chamber. The glow of the energy core illuminated their surroundings, casting soft shadows on the walls. "I've been thinking," Ethan said, "about what comes next. We've handled the immediate threats, but the galaxy is vast. There are dangers we haven't even imagined, and there are discoveries waiting for us. I think we're ready." Lyra's eyes softened and she nodded slowly. "Perhaps, but remember, courage alone is not enough. You must continue to learn, adapt, and understand the forces around you. Only then can we explore safely." Ethan smiled. "Then we keep learning. Together." The ship pulsed softly as if acknowledging their resolve. Ethan felt a surge of connection to the Nocturne, to Lyra, and to the endless possibilities ahead. He realized that the true adventure was not just about repairing a ship or surviving attacks. It was about discovering, understanding, and forging a bond that transcended worlds. In the silence of the star-strewn void, human ingenuity and ancient alien power moved as one. Together, Ethan and Lyra had turned a derelict ship into a fortress, repelled determined attackers, and discovered the strength of trust and cooperation. The galaxy beyond awaited, full of mystery and danger, but for the first time, both human and alien felt prepared to face it. And somewhere deep within the Nocturne, the alien vampire woman once feared and misunderstood. The Nocturne drifted through the starry void, quiet now after the storm of attacks that had tested both Ethan and Lyra. The galaxy was vast, full of hidden dangers and opportunities. Yet for the first time, Ethan felt a sense of confidence. They had survived, adapted, and learned together. He had seen Lyra's strength, her intelligence, and her centuries of wisdom. She had seen his courage, creativity, and determination. Together, they had become more than just human and alien. They were partners in a universe full of unknowns. Lyra's eyes glowed softly as she moved through the corridors. The ship seemed to respond to her presence, the walls pulsing gently with energy. Ethan followed, keeping a careful watch on the navigation systems. They had discovered a faint signal emanating from a distant sector, one that did not belong to any known civilization. It was weak, irregular, but undeniably alive. "This could be a distress signal," Ethan said, studying the readings. "Or it could be something unknown. Either way, we should investigate." Lyra considered the data. Unknown signals can be dangerous, but they can also be opportunities. "It will be a test of your judgment, human. Are you ready to face it?" Ethan smiled, feeling a rush of excitement. "I've been ready since the moment I found you on this ship. Let's see what's out there." The Nocturne changed course, moving with a grace that felt almost alive. Ethan marveled at how the ship seemed to anticipate their maneuvers, adjusting shields and energy flows as they traveled. Lyra guided him, teaching subtle techniques to harness the ship's energy for navigation, cloaking, and even defensive maneuvers. It was a delicate balance, but Ethan was learning quickly. Hours later, they arrived at the source of the signal. It emanated from a small, shattered moon orbiting a gas giant. Craters scarred its surface, and faint wisps of energy floated above jagged terrain. The signal pulsed faintly, a call for help that had lingered for unknown years. Ethan activated the landing protocols. "We'll need to be careful. Whatever caused this damage could still be active, or there could be residual energy dangers." Lyra nodded, her eyes narrowing. "I will accompany you. The moon is unstable, and my presence may be required." The Nocturne descended slowly, its energy shields protecting it from loose debris and micro-asteroids. As they touched down, Ethan felt the hum of the ship vibrating beneath him. Lyra stepped beside him, her form ethereal yet solid, glowing faintly in the dim light. The landscape was desolate, a testament to violent events long past. Ethan began scanning for life signs while Lyra moved silently, sensing fluctuations in energy that no human instrument could detect. Together, they traced the faint signal to a collapsed structure, a building half buried in rock and dust. Inside, they discovered remnants of an ancient civilization. Cracked walls bore inscriptions, faded murals, and strange symbols that Ethan could not decipher. In the center of the room, a faint energy field pulsed rhythmically. Lyra approached it carefully, her hands hovering above the field. "This is a preservation field," she explained. "It has kept whatever is inside alive for centuries. But it is delicate. We must proceed with caution." Ethan nodded, feeling both excitement and apprehension. "What is it? Can we open it?" Lyra examined the field, her fingers tracing invisible patterns in the air. Slowly, the energy barrier shimmered and parted, revealing a small chamber within. Inside was a humanoid being, faintly glowing, suspended in stasis. Its features were alien yet vaguely familiar, with delicate limbs and large, luminous eyes. Ethan gasped. "It's alive, somehow, after all these years." Lyra studied the being closely. "Yes, its energy has been preserved, but it has been dormant for centuries. Awakening it will require precise control of the field. One wrong move and it could destabilize." Ethan's hands trembled slightly as he assisted Lyra in adjusting the energy conduits. They worked in tandem, human intuition guiding precision, alien mastery controlling flow. Slowly, the being's chest rose and fell, its eyes blinking open to reveal a shimmering, intelligent gaze. "Hello," Ethan said softly, unsure if the being could understand him. The alien looked around, disoriented but calm. Its gaze fell on Lyra, and recognition passed through its eyes. It whispered a sound that resonated with the Nocturne's energy, a greeting that seemed to acknowledge both their presence and the bond of trust. Lyra smiled faintly. "It understands. It is not hostile. This being was preserved by its civilization as a messenger, a keeper of knowledge. It has waited for someone capable of unlocking its purpose." Ethan's heart raced. "Then we'll help it. We'll make sure it survives, and together we can learn from it." For hours, they worked to stabilize the being, integrating it carefully with the ship's energy systems. Ethan marveled at the way Lyra manipulated the conduits, guiding the flow of energy with precision and grace. He assisted where he could, improvising techniques to balance the delicate currents. Slowly, the being adjusted to its new environment, sensing the life force of the ship and the presence of its new companions. By morning, the being had fully awakened, its energy harmonized with the Nocturne. It turned to Ethan and Lyra, communicating through subtle energy pulses that conveyed gratitude, curiosity, and recognition of their abilities. Ethan felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Together, they had rescued a being thought lost to time, preserving not just life but knowledge. Lyra placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You have grown immensely, human. Today you demonstrated courage, intelligence, and adaptability. You are no longer just a repairer. You are a partner capable of facing the galaxy's unknown challenges." Ethan smiled, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "I couldn't have done it without you, Lyra. You taught me how to see, how to adapt, and how to trust. Together we can handle anything the stars throw at us." The Nocturne hummed softly as if acknowledging his words. Ethan realized that the ship, Lyra, and the newly awakened being were now a unified force capable of exploration, defense, and discovery on a scale he had never imagined. As they prepared to leave the moon, Ethan reflected on their journey. He had come aboard the Nocturne expecting a simple salvage job, perhaps a chance to repair a forgotten ship. Instead, he had discovered an alien being trapped for centuries, survived attacks from bounty hunters, and awakened a being preserved in stasis for countless years. His perspective on the universe, on humanity, and on life itself had expanded beyond measure. Lyra walked beside him as they returned to the ship's control center. "The galaxy is vast, Ethan. There will be more challenges, more discoveries, and more beings who need assistance. Are you ready for what comes next?" Ethan's eyes gleamed with determination. "I've never been more ready. We've proven that human ingenuity and courage, combined with your knowledge and abilities, can overcome anything, and we'll keep proving it." The Nocturne lifted off, its energy shield shimmering as it rose from the shattered moon. Ethan and Lyra monitored the systems, ready for any unexpected threats, yet confident in their abilities. The newly awakened being floated beside them, a silent companion radiating intelligence and curiosity. Together they formed an alliance that transcended species, experience, and time itself. As they entered open space, Ethan gazed out at the stars. "There's so much to explore, so much to learn, and now we can do it together. You, me, and our new companion." Lyra's eyes softened. "It is rare to find someone like you, Ethan. Most humans would have fled or failed. But you have potential, and together we will chart paths no one has ever imagined." Ethan felt a surge of excitement. The galaxy stretched before them, full of possibilities, challenges, and mysteries. He knew that their journey would not always be easy. There would be dangers, enemies, and situations that would test them beyond imagination. But he also knew that with Lyra's guidance, the ship's living intelligence, and the trust they had forged, they could face anything. The stars passed by in a blur of light as the Nocturne accelerated toward the unknown. Ethan sat at the helm, hands steady, mind alert, and heart open to the adventure ahead. Lyra stood beside him, radiant and calm, a living testament to endurance and wisdom. Their new companion floated quietly, observing, learning, and ready to contribute its own knowledge to their journey. For the first time since he had boarded the Nocturne, Ethan felt truly at home in the galaxy. He was no longer just a human repairing a ship. He was a partner, an explorer, a guardian of knowledge and life. And together, with Lyra and their companion, he would travel further, see more, and accomplish more than he had ever imagined. The Nocturne moved steadily through the cosmos, a beacon of cooperation, courage, and discovery. Human ingenuity and alien mastery had united, forming a team capable of facing the vastness of space. Ethan looked at Lyra, then at their new companion, and smiled. The journey was only beginning and the universe awaited, and so the derelict ship that no one wanted became a vessel of hope, adventure, and partnership. The alien vampire woman who had once been trapped for centuries now had an ally she could trust, a human who had proven his courage, and a companion who held knowledge from civilizations long gone. Together they would explore the galaxy, face dangers, discover wonders, and write their own story among the stars. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and Ethan, Lyra, and their companion moved forward united, ready for whatever awaited them in the boundless expanse of the universe.